Yeah, Stephen, Jeff.
Mm.
Before we share what we wrote, I want to say that it took a long time for us to kind of like digest all of the conversations going on and meaningfully include it in our work. And we took a lot of notes. And we just finished everything, I think, at 2:25. So
Wow.
it was we were up till midnight, like talking about your ideas and how to include everything. And I think what we want to do is just first play what we wrote and then kind of explain what we did and then play it
And why we did it.
and why we did it and
Yeah.
then play it again with that information in mind. So like
That's
right now you're
wonderful.
listening to it with like a clean slate with no preconceptions of what we've done, but then you get to listen to it again with like an understanding of how we came about creating it.
But it can be interpreted, anyway. In English class in high school, you read something and or then the teacher said, "Oh, this the author meant this, that, and that." I'm like, "Well, I took it a different way." So I mean, we'll tell you how we came
But
to,
yeah,
but it's
open to interpretation.
yes,
Sounds like a wonderful process. We're excited.
cool.
You ready, Bill?
I'm ready. I'm a little nervous. I'm doing it from memory. I even memorized it.
I wrote mine down. I looked it up.
But I have some notes on the clipboard that I'm putting behind the camera so I can perform it from memory.
All right.
All right, here we go.
Try.
Can you turn the track up? Thank you. Let me put this in gallery mode. I always like gallery instead of speaker mode. But so I guess now we'll tell you kind of about the creative process, I guess. And so we were here for all of yesterday, and then
The first half of today.
first half to today, and we all spoke on 4 points like discovery, dream possibilities, oasis of joy. The second one, third, designing future plans, and then four, I took notes. See, plans for the future and the action steps needed to take. And actually, I was during the. I think Melissa Durbin was the first person during the introductions to bring up. Um, I can't remember exactly, but how she was gonna. We all introduced each other or ourselves, and then told us why we were here. And I think she said something to the effect of being here to learn about caring, especially in trying situations like the pandemic. And then I think it was Joseph who was in charge of 14 different hospitals, and he talked about and spoke on how he felt like he couldn't be there for all of his colleagues, and we heard a lot about the devastation, I guess, of the virus and how it affected not only the population but the caregivers. And for me and for us, the first part was kind of symbolic of that, like desperation and the sadness. And
There was a lot of, I think you all mentioned the heaviness, the weight that you felt upon you to be caregivers, especially when you were short-staffed and overworked.
and no one was actually caring for the caregivers.
And I mentioned, or I wrote down a feeling of desperation and of an overwhelmingness. So we chose something that kind of felt really heavy.
Like the instrumentation, we put a very heavy kind of, I don't know what it's called.
Maybe
Like a, I don't even know what the instrument's called, but
like a backing track, something that just
like a
would
dark pad or a synth pad.
something that would evoke those feelings.
And then for me, I started the piece just on playing one note. And then it got progressively higher, the same note, just an octave higher. And then for me, so initially I've experienced the, so I kind of got this backwards. Like I was kind of projecting how I would have felt if I were in your situation, and for me, I would have been paralyzed, and that's why initially I picked just one note because I was paralyzed. I couldn't play another note. I was just stuck on this one note. But that's not what happened in your case. Your case is you actually went out to the front lines and helped everyone. You're the caregivers that helped everyone during this pandemic. And then so instead of representing paralyzation, that it was kind of, I still chose to play one note because it was, you were kind of trapped in this situation, whether that you were working in dangerous environments, there were no PPE, you were understaffed working overtime to make this happen, to give the care that was needed for our country. And so that's why I stuck on one note, and then I just put up started playing the higher octaves or at a higher rhythmic pace to kind of symbolize like the desperation and like kind of like the wail. And like I think Joseph, like it really just touched me, like he broke down. I was like, wow. I was like, I had no idea. For me, that I experienced a pandemic. I got off easy. We lost all of our gigs, but the government came in and helped us. And then so I sat at home and I learned new things. I didn't. The worst for me was just being stuck at home. I didn't get to feel what you all felt, and so that like really struck a nerve. So I tried to communicate that part. So I feel like I'm talking a lot.
Well, no, because you had the first part, so
Yeah.
you're
So
explaining.
that was basically my creative process for the first part because we kind of wrote this in three different sections.
And then you also had a lot of dissonant chords, if you want to.
Oh yeah, the dissonance. I like to put beautiful dissonance to kind of show the tension and the struggles that
And the frustration.
and yeah, and the frustration that you all must have been feeling.
Because from hearing some of you said like there wasn't enough PPE. Is it PPE?
Personal protective
Equipment. Yeah, PPE going around, and then people were just quitting. And then even today, there was a conversation about traveling nurses that were just leaving their institutions and picking up because of, well, whatever reason they had, money or a better opportunity, and
or to support the family,
or to support, right. But whatever it was, the people that were left there without the support, I feel like the dissonance kind of reflects that feeling among all of you that decided to stay with your institutions and ride out the wave per se.
And so we put the first two sections in a minor key. It was A minor if you're a musician, and then for the second part,
after Jeff did his 12-bar solo, I came in, and I don't know if you could hear it, but there was a lot of what we call tremolo in a string instrument, like. And I used that kind of as a background. When I was hearing you all speak yesterday, at least the leadership in the nursing community of your group said that you all spent a lot of time working remotely, and it was hard to connect with everyone and to kind of feel that caring environment that you all are trying to support and give each other. And so I felt like when there's like that tremolo sound, it kind of, to me, like it sounds like kind of like a cold winter day. If you're on your own, you're not really connecting with anyone. So I tried to use that to evoke or to represent that part of your discussion. Are you? No, you got it.
So then, so the first parts we did in minor keys, and then we used that kind of dark synth pad for the instrumentation to play underneath our violins. And then in the second part, you may have noticed we changed the backing instrumentation to guitar. And even though it was in minor, it kind of gave a more lighter feel. And that's kind of representing like, the first part was like this dark, violent storm. And then like the second part is like, okay, we got over
the initial like shock of everything.
Things are starting to look up.
Hopefully
The
vaccines were being tested. So the second part of the song, yeah, just represented. We're not quite there yet, but we're, at least we hope that like the darkest of the days are behind us, and
we're still not playing together. We're playing separate. Like I went first, Stephen, and we did that because it was kind of, we all had different experiences during this time. And you hear us play together in the third part. So the third part is the only part that's in a major key. It's C major, the relative minor of A minor.
Relative major to A minor.
Oh, wait, that's C major is the relative major key of A minor, if you care to know that. But it's the first time we play together, because just like this conference, we all are coming together now virtually. And like the fourth element, what are the plans for the future and the steps we can take to make a better future for not only caring, but what we've been discussing. And for me, hopefully it represents the future. Like, what lessons have been learned? What can we take away from the academy? What will we implement for our, not only you all as leaders and teachers, but for your youth? And hopefully it will be continued. Everything that's learned tonight, or that has been learned and discussed in the academy, will be implemented and continued on to future generations. And I had two other things, but
do you need time to think about it?
I probably do.
Okay, so I'm going to interject and say I'm going to backtrack to the second section. And I noticed today in your morning session that I forget it, someone came on that said that she hadn't really spoke a lot the day before, but she told
Barbara, I think.
If it's Barbara,
or Barb, I think.
but she came on and told this story of, you know, she had to make sure that her nurses were taking care of themselves. You know, like I guess they were working through their lunch break or their shift break or whatever it was. You know, they were just so involved within the patients that they didn't, you know, they thought of their patients before they thought of themselves. And it reminded me, and Jeff might roll his eyes at me about this, um, but there was a movie in I think 2000 called um, Moulin Rouge, and one of the songs was "Come What May," and there was lyrics in it that said, "Listen to my heart, can't you hear it sing, telling me to give you everything?" And I feel like you all have a love of your job. Like it's clear that you all have a passion. And I kind of incorporated that melody from that song. And what I did, and I just want to play it for you. So when you hear it this time, um, you can, for the second time, you'll be able to pick up on it. But it kind of goes like this. Um, and I just, actually, I didn't realize that I had done that, like wrote that until afterwards. And then I was like, wait, what? That sounds familiar. And I realized it was from from that song. And I feel like it was my subconscious just incorporating what you all had communicated in the morning's discussion. So I thought that was an interesting thing because I didn't write that on purpose. It was just done by what you all said and through my subconscious.
Oh, real quick, I feel like I kind of glossed over the second part, and you know, my mom always was like the best at writing, and whenever I wrote a paper or had to do a presentation, I'd always run it by her, but time was of the essence, so I feel like we're a little scatterbrained, or at least I am, um, in terms of organization. But Victor spoke earlier today about, I think it was Victor, um, spoke about how would the hospital staff receive the nurse staff that went out to pursue a more I guess travel as a nurse and get paid more. And he's like, we would welcome them wholeheartedly and respect their decision why they went, because um, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I my understanding was people, a lot of the nurses' spouses may have lost a job and had to support their family. So they didn't want to leave the hospital they were at, but they almost had to because they needed a larger income because they were the sole breadwinner. And then so in the second part where it kind of opens up and the storms open, that could also be like the wait staff, or not wait staff, the nurse staff, being coming back and being welcomed, and after that violent storm, and things are starting to get back to normal. And well,
So I've got one more quick thing before we play it again. In the first day, some of you mentioned that there was no handbook or like no instructions to deal with this. Everyone was kind of just thrown to the wind. And if you notice, like in the beginning of our backing track, there's no clear like sense of beat or time
rhythm.
or rhythm. It's just um, it's kind of interpretive, and that's we wanted to represent that because I thought that was such a big deal. Um, here there's a global pandemic, and you didn't have support from national, federal, or even local government. It was kind of like you all were, hey, you're the hospital system, you should know what to do. And in reality, it would have been a lot better, in my opinion. I'm not in the medicine field, but if someone had kind of stepped up and said, hey, let's do X, Y, and Z to support our medical professionals. And so when I heard that there was no handbook or instructions, that also played into the decision of making it kind of nebulous, I guess.
Sure.
So I think we covered.
Yeah, if you want us, we can write a more concise essay and send it. But we did record it, and after this academy ends, we're gonna finish it, and then we can send a file to Ben, and he can share it to everyone if you'd like, and we could even we'll talk about it later. But
I think we should,
yeah,
now that you've like heard kind of the explanation of
how
our
we
creative process, we'd like to play it one more time.
yeah, and then afterwards, feel free to ask us anything, and here we go. There we go.
Nice stuff. Nice stuff.
All right.
Well, if you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them, but I guess we'd turn it over the floor to Kathleen or Anne or whoever. Marilyn.
Well, first of all, just beautiful. And I
I'm sure because you've been performing, you haven't seen the chat, but the chat is just blowing up about how much you've been a part of our community, and that you have listened and heard and now expressed, just as you described your creative process reflected our process and our caring. And it's just beautiful. And everyone says so.
So Kathleen, Joe is writing that he wants to hear this on the Today Show or 60 Minutes and have you play it for every nurse in the nation. Do you want to speak more about that, Joe?
Oh.
No, I just think it's remarkable how you're able to take the conversation and turn it into that beautiful piece of music. It was really quite moving.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, what your story yesterday really, that's what really invoked my part of the that first one. So I had no idea I don't know, I was overwhelmed, I guess, with emotion when I listened. So
yeah, it wasn't one of my finer presentations, but you know.
Actually, Joe,
sometimes those things happen. I kind of was reflecting on it last night, and yeah, you know, it's been just an incredible year in so many different ways for so many different people. My sister made a comment similar to you guys, and she's a nurse, a retired nurse, and she said, "Oh," she says, "Joe, you know, we were talking early on in the last summer, and she says, is it really that bad?" And I said, "Linda, you have no idea." And she says, "We live in our little bubble." And she's actually a nurse. She's one of us. And it just amazed me how this whole experience has impacted people in different ways. But to hear that from another nurse, I just couldn't believe it. I was talking with some colleagues after the next day, and it was just profound. Her isolation that she had, and just I think it was self-protective, that she didn't really want to go into a different experience because maybe she, you know, might not have done well emotionally in that space. So I don't know. But thanks for sharing, you guys. It was really quite unbelievable.
may I just say that, Joe, that I've learned that when one of us cries, it expresses the tears of all. So,
Thanks,
you did us all a great service by your courageous expression, and you know, I think deepened our conversation. And I just want to share with Stephen and just a couple of comments that people have. Absolutely amazing. I'm so touched by how you listened and truly represented the essence of our dialogue. We have been truly blessed. And there's so much more about how profound your music has affected each of us. So that we'll share the chat with you, but it's all very meaningful and rich. Soul stirring and with deep appreciation.
I was a little worried that we wouldn't have enough after the first day when you all had so much to talk about. I was overwhelmed that we wouldn't have enough time to put down into, you know, like pen and paper and write out something that would fully express everything. And then Jeff was like, "No, let's stay up till midnight." I'm like, "Okay." He's the night owl. And so he kind of took the reins and was like, "No, we're gonna do this." I'm like, okay. We're gonna I'm more of like an early bird, and but you know, we made it work, and it was a lot of fun. And once the creativity started coming, I actually caught like a second wind, which allowed me to, you know, stay up last night, and then today we actually took the lunch break to incorporate what you all talked about this morning.
I almost didn't get up this morning. I normally wake up at like 10 a.m. and I had to get up. I think I got up at 8:30, showered, and then set up the sound and everything.
So I took care of the morning stuff, and he takes care of the evening.
Can I just say one thing? I really, really loved it. You guys were awesome, but I feel bad that everybody didn't get to see how good of a dancers you both are. You guys, you're
Absolutely
phenomenal. I mean, the way, I just kept wondering if you were going to try to bounce around the room there a little bit, but it was, you guys are such phenomenal dancers as well as, musicians. So I just think that's
Were we dancing?
Maybe Sue we'll have to get them to Boca.
absolutely
yeah.
Oh,
they have
so
to come here.
funny enough, we actually performed at the Wick Theater in Boca last October.
Yes, but you did not email us and tell us that you were doing that, and that won't ever happen again, right?
I know,
Stephen
Terry
and
called
Jeff,
me out.
I hope. I just wanted to say, last night driving home, I wondered how you were going to capture the despair and the joy from, caring science, undergrounding leadership, and our valuing of caring science. Aesthetics is the combined wholeness of the situation at its best form when you think about it. And I loved the way that you decided to present it to us, first to let us listen, and then hear how you put together the whole, and that you chose to come at it separately as you each found your own meaning, and then coming together as a team to finish, showing the response here for us that could represent academia and practice. It can mean so many things within our profession. It was really just quite beautiful. You two are beautiful inside and out. Thank you so much.
Making me blush over here.
Others.
Quick comment.
Yes.
This is Nancy Hilton. I was one of those chief nursing officers working with Joe. So he and I shared a lot of conversations, a lot of tears. And I kind of liked how you got forced to continue until midnight and then get up early, because that's what we went through. And so you, in a microcosm of 2 days, put everything we've gone through in the last 15 months. And so to come up with that piece of music under that stress meant even more to me. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Any other thoughts or comments that you'd like to share with Stephen and Jeff during the remaining time that we have?
Oh, and real quick, we won't be able to record this and then send a link. So I thought I saw someone say, how can we get a copy of the music? So just in case they didn't hear that, we'll hopefully get that done
Today.
Yes.
Well, we're going to try our best after the academy is finished to do a professional recording.
We want to edit it and make it really good.
And then we'll send it to Ben. And
you've really taken Nancy's comments to heart, and that you will work yet again today.
Yes, we will.
Yeah.
The night is young.
I just want to echo Terry's invitation for folks to have any other comments that you would like to make at this time. I think either about the music, or Terry, is it okay if we go around?
Yes.
Or
so I'd like to share with the twins some feedback about the music, please. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's amazing that you did capture our experience. And, you know, as you started playing, I was watching you, and then I chose to close my eyes because I wanted to listen. And what I tuned into was the tempo and the cadence, and then later what you described as the trembling. And I heard, you know, for me, it was very intentional, that it was very slow and methodical, and it was very tedious and very, very difficult and very dark and very challenging at the beginning. And yet then later, as I listened, you picked it up, and what you described then changing to the guitar. So when you finished and I opened my eyes, I felt the hope that, yes, it's been an incredibly difficult journey, but yet here we are. And we spent 2 days, not solely talking about the pandemic, but really it's been a significant part of our careers, every single one of us, in whatever angle we served and whatever capacity we served. So thank you very much. I had tears, I will admit, and my tears were not about my loss, my recent loss, but as I closed my eyes and I listened to you, I was thinking about our nurses, and my tears were for them. And so thank you for that catharsis, because you, as everyone has described, you have been able to put into music an experience that's going to be impactful for all of us, really for the rest of our lives. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you.